Blessed day, guys, and peace be upon you this morning. So in this video, we're going to configure RIP next generation routing for IPv6. Okay, so we're going to do RIPng next generation, okay, for IPv6, right? Okay, so I'm just going to let you know that today we are in number 19, routing protocols, part 1, RIPng next generation. So without any further ado, I'll open our notepad to let the steps you're going to follow to achieve the objectives. So the first step is to draw the necessary topology. We decorate and comment. I have 3 routers here, and I'm using 2911 router, and you can see the comments. Site A and Site B. We need to achieve communication between Site A and Site B through RIPng routing protocol. RIP next generation routing protocol. Okay, all right. So step 2, we need to enable IP global forwarding or routing. Okay, before we configure IP addresses or configure routing protocols, let's enable IPv6 addresses, IPv6 routing. Okay, so it's very simple, and I'll do it very fast to save time. So to enable IPv6 routing or global forwarding, I'll just say no here and enable config T, then IPv6 unicast routing. That's all. So I'll do it with the other routers very fast to save time. Okay, so I've enabled IPv6 routing on the routers, so we can go ahead to configure IPv6 addresses on the router's interfaces and include both link local and GUA. So like I did in the previous video where we were using static routing, I'm only going to configure this interface and this interface for both link local and global unicast addressing. Okay, so for link local here, I'm just going to use FAIR 80 :1, and then the other side I'm gonna use FAIR 80 :3. Okay, all right. So this link local, this is global unicast address. Okay, and between the routers, I'm only going to use GUA, global unicast address. All right. Okay, so I'll demonstrate with one router, then the other routers I do very fast, save time. So for example, this interface. For this interface, we'll take IP address in this network. Okay, so I just copy that network, and just copy all of it. Just make sure you copy all of it. Then you come to which interface is this one? It's gig 01. So so gig 01 should take an IPv6 address in that network address. Okay, interface gig 0/1 IPv6 address. Before that, no shut. Turn it up, no shut. Okay, all right. So IPv6 address link local first. Just say FAIR 80 :1. Then specify that this link local. Then another IPv6 is global unicast address. Okay, I paste it there. That this is a network. Now IP address should be, let's start with this one with 1. Okay, and you hit enter, exit. I go to this interface, which is gig 00, and configure this network. Okay, such that this interface will take 31:1, and also this one take 31:2. Okay, or so it's gig 00, no shut. Here we don't configure link local. Okay, link local we will only configure it the one connected to the LAN, all the sites. Okay, so just say IPv6 add, paste that one and change this to only 1 that way. Exit and do right. Good. So guys, basically I believe you've learned how to configure IPv6 address on the interfaces. So I'll do it then very fast on the 2 routers to save time. Alright, so guys, basically I've configured IPv6 addresses on the router's interfaces. Okay, all the router's interfaces have IP address configured. Okay, alright, so step 4, configure IPv6 addresses on the computers. Okay, and we're being told here to use Slack. Slack is stateless address auto configuration. So Slack, being that this interface is configured with IPv6 address, the two computers which are directly connected to that interface can get IPv6 address auto configured statelessly. Okay, so just go here, come to IP configuration, just turn that one on. You can see IPv6 request successful. Okay, alright, so we just do this interface also, and the same happen this side. So you can see currently the default gateway here is FAIT:3, which was the link local address of this interface. Okay, alright, but when it's going outside, it will use the interface, the global unicast address of this interface. Okay, alright, so another thing that we're gonna do here now, test communication. We're going to try to test communication if the computers from this side can communicate with this side. So I go to this computer, come to CMD. You can't copy all of this address, so what to do, the shortest way is just to get the IP address, just say ipconfig, and you copy the IPv6 address. Okay, alright, so after copying, you can go to this computer here, and you try to ping that computer, which is ping, and I paste that IPv6 address. You can see destination host unreachable. Okay, but I believe it can ping the fellow who is in the same network or the subnet. So to get the IPv6, just say ipconfig, and you copy this, and we try to ping from now this computer, ping. Yeah, you see it's ping because they belong to the same network, local network, right? But being that this is a remote network, it requires routing protocol, and the routing protocol that we're going to use here is RIPng, RIP next generation, routing information protocol next generation. So without any further ado, let's begin configuring RIPng from this side to this side. So basically what we're gonna do to configure RIP in IPv6 address, basically it's different with the way we do it in IPv4. So how do we do it? Okay, so we just click on this router and enable config T. Alright, so how do we configure RIP for IPv6? So we just say IPv6 router RIP. Then when you try to query, you can see we can give it any word. Okay, user selected string identifying this process. So for example, let's just use you can use any word. For example, I can use 20 20. Oh, sorry, you can just use G20, right? Something like that. You can write anything you like. Okay, and you just hit enter, then you exit. Then you enable RIP in every interface. So for example, this is gig 00 and this is gig 01. So you go and enable RIP in every interface. So just enter interface gig 000 and you hit enter. And what do you say? You just say IPv6 RIP G20, this name here, G20, then you say enable, hit enter, you exit. Then you also go to gig 01, you do the same thing and exit and do it. So we are done configuring RIP on this router. So we're going to do the same thing for this router and this router. So the quickest thing that I can do here is just to copy this command that I've just written so that everything looks uniform. So IPv6 router RIP G20, I copy it and I paste it there. Then interface gig 00, I copy it. I copy it and I paste there. And now IPv6 RIP G20 enable also, I copy and it there. Then I exit this interface and I copy for gig 01. So this command will be the same in every router. Okay, so I just copy it and come to this router here and enable config T. Then I paste whatever I've just copied right now. Okay, so just paste. So to write, the first thing, make sure you make the router that is using RIP as the routing protocol. Okay, and then enter the interface and enable RIP in every interface, specifying the unique number that the unique name that you use to identify the RIP routing protocol. Okay, then finally you go to this router and do the same. Enable config T and just paste. All right, do right. So I'll go back to the computer that we tried to ping previously, but it failed. So I'll go to this computer and try to ping this IP address that failed previously. So just good. So you can see RIP is working as expected. So if I can just say ipconfig on this computer also, ipconfig in this computer, ipconfig, then I get its IPv6 address, I copy, and then I come to this, come to any of these computers, let's say this one, then I come to command prompt and say ping. Good. So basically I think you've learned how to configure IPv6 address, and to verify you can just come here and say you can say and show IPv6 protocols. So you can see IPv6 protocol used is RIP G20 with the name of G20. Okay, all right. So guys, I'll let you know that today we've covered RIP and G. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video, share with friends, and bye.